There comes a moment in life when you realize that the best way to deal with people who try to limit you, disrespect you, or bring you down is not to engage with them, but to evolve past them, to outgrow them. And that, my friend, is the most dignified form of destruction. Outgrowing someone doesn't mean you pretend they never existed. It means their words, their opinions, and their negativity no longer hold power over you. It means you've grown so much, in mindset, in confidence, in vision, that their version of you is outdated. It's like handing someone a key to a house you moved out of years ago. They can try to unlock the door, but you're no longer there. You outgrow them when you stop explaining yourself, when you stop shrinking to fit the narrative they tried to trap you in. You no longer seek validation from the people who never really wanted to see you win in the first place. That's not arrogance, that's liberation. Let them talk, let them whisper, let them misunderstand you, because while they're busy trying to figure out how to drag you back into a space you've already evolved beyond, you'll be too busy working, building, creating, and thriving. That's how you win, not with words, not with arguments, but with undeniable growth. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the moments you choose peace over drama. Sometimes it's in the decisions you make when no one's watching, like waking up early to chase a dream they said was impossible, or walking away from people who were once central to your story but no longer align with your purpose. That takes strength, that takes courage, that's the real power. People will try to define you by your past, especially when your present threatens them. But remember this, your growth is a mirror. It reflects everything they haven't addressed in themselves. That's why it unsettles them, that's why they poke, but instead of poking back, grow taller. Expand so wide in your purpose that they get lost in your shadow, and sometimes outgrowing someone means loving them from a distance. It doesn't have to come with bitterness or revenge. It can come with quiet clarity. You can say, I respect you, but I can't stay small to make you comfortable. That's not cold, that's evolution. You owe it to yourself to keep climbing. You owe it to your younger self, the one who was doubted, dismissed, or overlooked, to break through every ceiling they said would contain you. Your growth is your responsibility, and the higher you go, the fewer people will be able to follow. Not because you're better, but because you were willing to grow when they chose to stay still. So don't worry about proving yourself to your enemies. Don't try to change their minds, outgrow them, outlearn them. Outdream them. Let your life become the kind of story they can't explain, not because you fought them, but because you rose above them. In the end, the loudest statement you can make is a life that looks nothing like the limitations they placed on you. And that's how you destroy them, without ever lifting. There's something profoundly powerful about silence. Not the silence that comes from fear or retreat, but the intentional silence that radiates confidence, self-control, and wisdom. It's the kind of silence that Priyanka Chopra embodies when she walks into a room and lets her presence do the talking. It's not weakness, it's strategy. When someone disrespects you or underestimates you, the natural instinct is to react, to defend yourself, to fire back with words that sting, clapbacks that trend, and energy that gets wasted in the process. But here's the truth: reaction gives them power. Silence keeps it for yourself. It tells the world, I don't need to prove anything to you. I know who I am. Silence isn't about doing nothing. It's about choosing not to engage in things that don't deserve your energy. Not every insult, not every rumor, not every provocation needs your attention. Some people thrive on chaos. They bait you because they want the fight. They want your reaction to validate their relevance. But silence denies them the spotlight. It's a reminder that not everything deserves a response. And that burns deeper than any retort. Think about it. When someone attacks you and you stay silent, it makes them question their impact. Did it not hurt you? Did you not hear them? Are you unbothered, or are you plotting? That uncertainty is unsettling. Your silence creates space for them to spiral, for them to reflect, or for them to realize they never had the power to affect you in the first place. Silence also gives you time. Time to reflect, time to choose your battles wisely, time to observe who's truly for you and who only cheers when it's convenient. In the silence, you discover who claps for you in public and who claps when you fall. There's wisdom in not reacting immediately, in watching quietly while others show you their character, because sometimes the most valuable information comes when you stop speaking and start paying attention. And when you finally do speak, after days, weeks, or maybe even months, your words land with weight. They're deliberate, they're calculated, they're powerful because they weren't impulsive. You've owned your narrative. You've taken control. That's why silence is not emptiness. It's presence. It's strength under control. It's the art of letting people underestimate you so you can shatter their expectations with your next move, not your next tweet. You don't need to announce every win. You don't need to fight every battle publicly. There's a reason they say lions don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. Let your success speak in volumes your enemies can't compete with. Let your silence echo louder than their noise. While they're busy making scenes, you're making moves. And maybe, just maybe, silence is your message, that you've moved on, that you've outgrown the nonsense. That you're too focused on your journey to be dragged into theirs. Let your peace confuse them. Let your calmness make them wonder, because when you're truly powerful, you don't need to raise your voice. You just raise your standards. So the next time you're tempted to react, remember this. Silence is not surrender, it's composure, it's elegance, it's resilience wrapped in grace. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is say absolutely nothing and keep winning anyway. Would you like me to move on to the next key point? There's a certain kind of power that doesn't need an introduction. It doesn't scream for attention, beg for approval, or fight to be seen. It just walks into a room and changes the energy. That's what happens when you become so good they can't ignore you. And that's not just a line, it's a way of life. When you commit to mastering your craft, when you push yourself to show up every day with purpose, discipline, and consistency, you begin to build something that no one, not even your enemies, can overlook. Your work starts to speak louder than their opinions. Your results drown out their criticism because greatness doesn't need permission. It demands attention. It commands respect. Think about it. The world doesn't always reward talent. It rewards relentless effort. Everyone has potential, but very few put in the kind of work that turns potential into power. That's where you rise. You don't have to announce your goals or prove yourself to people who doubted you. Just be so damn good they can't look away. Be so sharp in your skills, so precise in your delivery, so impactful in your execution, that even the ones who don't like you are forced to acknowledge your brilliance. There's something deeply satisfying about letting your excellence do the talking, about being the person who doesn't just chase dreams but builds a reality so solid, so magnetic, that it becomes impossible to deny. People might not want you to succeed. They might throw shade, spread rumors, or try to discredit your wins, but none of that matters when your performance outshines the noise. Being great isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most prepared, the most consistent, the most intentional. While others are busy playing games or gossiping, you're perfecting your process. While they're scrolling through distractions, you're investing in your vision. That's the difference, that's the edge. You want to destroy your enemies, don't argue with them. Don't try to change their minds, just win. Over and over again. Every time they expect you to fall, rise higher. Every time they doubt your capability, deliver excellence that leaves them speechless. Make your name synonymous with quality. Let your brand become a standard. That's how you become untouchable. And the best part? You don't do it for them, you do it for you. You do it because your dreams deserve your full commitment, because you weren't put here to play small or be overlooked. You were made to shine, to lead, to leave a legacy. So you sharpen your skills, you build your empire brick by brick. You keep showing up, on the days it's easy and especially on the days it's not. Because when you get so good at what you do, doors open. Not because someone did you a favor, but because they couldn't afford to ignore you any longer. That's the sweet spot, when the very people who doubted you are now reaching out, asking how you did it. And you smile, not out of spite, but because you know you earned every inch of that success. So don't worry about proving yourself. Don't waste time chasing validation. Focus on your growth. Focus on your craft. Focus on becoming the kind of force that speaks for itself. Be so good they can't ignore you, because when you become undeniable, you don't chase opportunities, they chase you. Would you like the next key point expanded in the same style? There's nothing more dangerous to your enemies than a person who knows who they are and owns their story. When you control your narrative, you take back the power that others try to steal from you. You stop allowing people to define you by your past, your mistakes, your background, or their limited understanding of who you are. You stop waiting for permission to be yourself. You stand tall in your truth, loud, clear, and unapologetic. People will always have opinions. They will twist your words, misinterpret your silence, exaggerate your flaws, and minimize your wins. That's not something you can control. What you can control is the story you choose to tell about yourself. The energy you walk into the room with, the message your life sends without you having to say a word, that's your narrative, and it belongs to you. When you stop reacting to every misunderstanding and start shaping your own image, you change the game. You decide what defines you, not rumors, not criticism, not rejection, and certainly not your enemies. They may try to paint you as difficult, dramatic, unqualified, or undeserving. But when your work, your presence, and your truth consistently say otherwise, people start to see through the noise. You don't have to pretend to be perfect. Controlling your narrative isn't about hiding the messy parts, it's about owning them. It's about saying, yes, I've been through things. Yes, I've made mistakes. But I've grown, I've evolved, and I'm still standing. That kind of honesty is powerful. Because when you embrace your whole self, no one can use your truth against you. You've already claimed it. Too often, we wait for someone else to validate our journey, to say we're good enough, talented enough, worthy enough. But the moment you decide to be your own validation, the whole world starts to adjust. You become the author of your future instead of a footnote in someone else's version of it. You stop trying to fit in, and you start standing out for all the right reasons. Controlling your narrative also means choosing what to focus on. You don't need to explain every decision or clear up every misconception. Some people misunderstand you on purpose. They don't want clarity, they want control. But you weren't made to be understood by everyone. You were made to be authentic. Let them talk. You focus on your path and don't be afraid to rewrite your story. Just because you were one way 5 years ago doesn't mean you have to stay that way. Growth is your right. Reinvention is your power. Never let anyone lock you into a version of yourself you've already outgrown. Every chapter is a chance to show the world more of who you are and who you're becoming. In a world where everyone has something to say, the boldest thing you can do is be yourself, fully, fearlessly, and without apology. Speak up when it matters, move in silence when it doesn't, and never let someone else hold the pen to your life story. Your narrative is your voice, your resilience, your journey, so tell it on your terms. Be proud of every scar, every breakthrough, every comeback, because when you control your narrative, you're not just surviving the noise, you're rising above it with purpose, poise, and power. Would you like me to continue with the next point, turn pain into fuel? Pain is inevitable. It visits everyone, quietly, violently, sometimes without warning. But what separates those who crumble from those who rise is what they do with it. You can let pain break you, or you can let it build you. You can let it define you, or you can turn it into something so powerful, so unstoppable, that even your enemies have no choice but to respect it. Pain, when harnessed correctly, becomes the strongest fuel you'll ever have. There's a reason the most resilient people in the world often have the deepest scars. They've walked through things that should have shattered them, but instead of letting that pain consume them, they chose to convert it into strength. They turned heartbreak into hunger, rejection into redirection, loss into lessons. They didn't pretend the pain didn't happen. They just refused to let it be the ending. They made it the beginning. Turning pain into fuel starts with acceptance. Not denial, not pretending. You feel it. You sit with it. You cry if you have to, scream if you need to. But then you wipe your tears, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, now what? Because that's the turning point. That's the moment where you stop being the victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your comeback. The people who try to hurt you, who betray you, who doubt you, they all expect the same outcome, that you'll stay down, that you'll shrink, that you'll disappear. But when you rise, when you turn that pain into focus, drive, and discipline, that's when you become dangerous, because now you're not just motivated. You're fueled by something deeper, something they can't touch. Use the pain to push harder, to wake up earlier, to go one more round, to sharpen your skills and silence your excuses. Every time you feel that sting, channel it, pour it into your work, your art, your purpose. Let it remind you why you started. Let it remind you what you're made of. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are bigger than anything they threw at you, that every setback was actually a setup, that every no was making space for a greater yes, because pain has a strange way of forcing you to grow, to evolve, to become something stronger than you ever imagined. And here's the truth: pain is a better teacher than comfort ever was. It teaches you who's real. It teaches you what matters. It teaches you that resilience isn't built in good times. It's built in the dark, in the struggle, in the quiet moments when no one's watching and quitting feels like the easier option. But you don't quit, you channel, you use every ache, every scar, every wound as a reason to keep going. People will ask how you did it, how you kept your head up, how you came back better, smarter, stronger. And you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because you know what it took. You turned your pain into fire, and that fire lit the path forward. So let them underestimate you. Let life throw its punches. You've already decided this pain isn't your prison. It's your fuel, and you're going to burn so bright, not even your enemies will be able to look away. Would you like me to expand the final key point next? Win with grace. There's something unforgettable about a person who wins, and does it with grace, not with arrogance, not with revenge, not with noise, but with quiet strength, calm confidence, and a knowing smile. That's how you leave a mark. That's how you destroy your enemies without ever lifting a hand. You win, and you walk away with your head high, your heart intact, and your dignity untouched. It's tempting to want to rub your success in their faces. The ones who doubted you, laughed at you, tried to block you. The ones who told you that you weren't good enough, smart enough, strong enough. But the truth is, if you're still focused on proving something to them, you haven't really won. Grace means you've evolved past the need for validation. You're not chasing applause. You're chasing purpose. That's the real power. Winning with grace means letting your results speak, not lashing out, not clapping back, not collecting screenshots to prove your point. It means showing up, doing the work, and letting your success be the loudest thing in the room. Because when you win with grace, you're not just winning the moment. You're building a legacy. And legacies are built on character, not ego. Grace is the ability to stay soft in a hard world. It's the ability to be kind when you have every reason not to be. It's looking at someone who tried to break you and choosing not to break back. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that vengeance is short-lived and peace is priceless. Grace is knowing who you are so deeply that no insult, no rumor, no attack can pull you out of alignment. Winning doesn't mean taking others down. It means lifting yourself up. It means staying focused on your goals, your journey, your growth. It's walking past the drama, the noise, the people who want to distract you. They want a reaction. They want you to stoop to their level, but grace keeps you grounded. It reminds you that success is not about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And there's something so disarming about grace. Your enemies don't know what to do with it. They expected a fight. They expected drama, but you gave them calm. They expected bitterness. You gave them distance. They expected retaliation. You gave them silence. That's what grace does. It confuses those who live for chaos. It shows that your power doesn't come from controlling others, but from controlling yourself. And make no mistake, grace is not about staying quiet or playing small. It's not about letting people walk over you. It's about knowing when to speak and when to walk away. It's about choosing maturity over ego, purpose over pettiness, You're not backing down, you're just moving forward, fast, focused, and free. When you finally reach your moment, the success you worked for, the life you built, the peace you earned, you'll realize something. You don't need to look back. The people who tried to stop you are now behind you. Let them watch, let them wonder, but don't slow down to show them anything. Just keep rising, because the ultimate win isn't just reaching the top. It's getting there with your integrity, your humility, and your grace intact. That's the kind of victory no one can take from you. Would you like the full speech compiled now with all the expanded points?